Hello everyone, welcome once again. My name is Logan and this is Decode Your Reality. Today we're going to be decoding the light bringer, Lucifer. Also known as Hell, if you really want to go to the original, which we're going to be getting into. The original spelling or translation of it is through the Hebrew/Aramaic in the Old Testament. In Isaiah, the book of Isaiah, it's spelled Hyll, but this is the Latinized version of it. So we can decode both. But Lucifer, the Lightbringer, got his sigil. We got the TV show on Netflix. I have a lot of information to go over, folks. I promise you it will be well worth your time you invest in this presentation. Have an open mind, and if you're new, welcome. Just follow the breadcrumbs. It's like putting a puzzle together. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so very much for your support. So before we get started, let me show you the methods that I use of decoding. First and foremost, we use, of course, numerology. And I primarily use the Chaldean and the English. And if we're going to be breaking down Hebrew, which we're going to be showing, we're going to use the Hebrew as well. But notice the word Lucifer is the number 28. Now 28 is an interesting number because it's the 7th triangular number. And then, this is it right there. It's the letter G in this method. I'm going to show you why that's important. Second method, we can tie the number 28 to the string of pi. I like measuring the perfect circle. The infinite digits of pi. Very accurate. The perfect circle, 360 degrees. It would be Jesus at 180 degrees, Lucifer at the other 100, making up the 360 degrees. Notice the number 28 in the string of pi appears at the 33rd decimal digit of pi. And now you know why they like using the number 33, even though man's being used. But let's go a step further. We can also bring in the elements of the periodic table. Now we get into alchemy, folks. The blending of energies, and now we're blending mystical art platforms and science. And 33 is important because it's tied to arsenic, which is poisonous. Arsenic only has one atomic mass. This is the weight of it, 74.922. And notice going into the English, Lucifer equals the number 74. So you see why bringing the string of pi is a good idea when you're decoding. There it is right there. I mean, keep in mind the word Jesus also equals the number 74. And there it is. The crucifixion, arsenic, Lucifer, Jesus, they're all tied together. And it tied in nicely with this right here. You can also bring in the cards of illumination. A typical poker deck, there are 52 cards in a deck. Why am I showing these? Because, folks, you see, these cards are embedded into nature. 52 cards, 52 weeks of the year. 4 suits, 4 seasons. There's 13 weeks per season, and there's 13 cards per suit. Ace through king. Notice the 28th card in the deck is the 2 of diamonds, matching that of the number 28, Lucifer. Kind of interesting, Lucy in the sky with diamonds. And I mean, there's kind of a diamond right there, right? And now you know why see the G's in the middle. Now you know why, perhaps, the G is in the middle. Because 28 is the 7th trigonal number. So there's the methods. Here's the presentation. Starting off with this. This is kind of a graph that I made. It was a single graph about the light spectrum and the rainbow. Because, Lucifer's known as the light bringer. And light is the full color spectrum of the rainbow. And then you got the planets. And then the sun and moon are the positive and negative. And then you got the earth. And, the moon doesn't give off its own light. It absorbs light. But nonetheless, here's the sigil. Does that not look like the sigil could fit in there? And of course, you have your Taurus field there. Kind of interesting. So I wanted to just start off with that, just throw that in there kind of for a little extra. But now, the real presentation starts with this right here, folks. This is where the numbers get super interesting. And if you know the Masonic teachings, you would know a thing or two about Manly P. Hall, the great Freemason. This is taken from his book, The Secret Teachings of All Ages, and he says, Lucifer is represented by the number 741. And I don't know if he jumbled the numbers around to disguise it. He wanted to give it away but not give it away, because see folks, it's crystal clear, bringing science into this once again. This is one of Lucifer's elements, lutetium. I mean, Lucifer, Lu, look at the abbreviation for lutetium, Lu. I mean, it's quite obvious. And for most of you that are decoding now, you're seeing this and you're using it, which is great, because it should be used and recognized, because it's a vast point that's tied to Lucifer. And, there's the 71. I mean, that's the colors in the rainbow right there. You have 7 colors in the rainbow, 7 through 1. It's right there. I mean, it's pretty obvious. And there is that 174, 741, 471. Really doesn't matter. It's still there. So you're seeing it. So I wanted to establish this because this is going to be a big, major player in our future slides. I did a decode on Homer Simpson. You may want to check out that video. Notice his name through the English ordinal, what he goes by, what Matt Groening created him as, Homer J. Simpson, is a direct match to lutetium. It's a 174. So you may want to check out the video I did in Homer Simpson, because it's got a lot of Lucifer links to it. Let's break down lutetium, since we know this is one of Lucifer's elements. Lutetium through the Chaldean is the number 33. And I showed this in the methods of decoding. There it is. It's the element arsenic. Arsenic is poisonous. Keep that in mind. That's why the crucifixion 33. I mean, if Jesus was put to death, well, even though he may not have been poisoned, it still has relevance because of the way this ties in. Notice arsenic is the number 69. That's the element Cancer, which is tied to the crown. We're talking the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn. Notice the 69 there, the yin-yang. And then that's tied to the number 74, Lucifer, because there it is. So all this stuff's in bed together, folks. As you can see, loud and clear. Crystal clear here. What about the English ordinal, lutetium? Breaking it down, it ends up becoming the number 121. That's tied to the element antimony. The 51st element. And if you go to the Royal Society of Chemistry, this is taken off their website. Antimony, they used to put it under their eyes in Egyptian times, and they used it for our mascara under the eyes. Antimony. You can get a gemstone called, it's actually a metal, it's called stibnite, and it's got antimony. Antimony, the main supplier of antimony is China. The word China equals 15. 15 is the devil card. I know we're going a little bit extensive paths, but I'm just throwing that out there. Antimony is the number 28, which is a direct match of the word Lucifer. So is Lucifer the all-seeing eye? Could Lucifer be the all-seeing eye of Horus? So this is representing here. What about the numberempire.com? This is from numberempire.com. What about the number 71? I said it's the numbers representing the light spectrum, 7 through 1, violet all the way down to red, gamma down to infrared, and it's the 20th, prime number, 71 is. And that's the 20th card in the tarot, the judgment card. What does Lucifer got to do with judgment? I have to leave that up to you as the observer. But if you ponder this, you might find your answers. What about the 174 off of lutetium? Manly P. Hall, the number of Lucifer. In the string of pi, that good old trusty string of pi that's really accurate, it appears at the 155th decimal digit of pi. And that's linked to this element right here, the 64th element. Notice the abbreviation of the 64th element, GD. Like the word God, if you just go using consonants only, GD. Remember, there are 64 possible codons in our DNA. There are 64 squares on a chessboard. And that's why I'm going to bring the Nephilim in this. I decoded this in my Random Thoughts number 9, but I had to include this because of the 64th element. Notice Nephilim, the original spelling from Hebrew and the Old Testament. It's number 76, and I'm going to be showing that in a little bit. But when you break these numbers down individually to their letters, and when you bring in the elements of the periodic table, matching up the numbers with each one, you'll go over and add them all up using the trusty calculator, all these atomic weights right here. And we get the number 153.897. 153 is tied to the 64th element. And again, what's interesting about the 64 is Genesis 6 verses 4. And you can read that scripture, folks. It talks about the Nephilim. Go ahead and read about that, but folks, look at what you get here. And you go back to lutetium, Lucifer, and that 155. See, the 64th element has multiple weights, atomic weights and masses. So 155 is one of them, 153 is another. Some of these elements have multiple weights, but nonetheless, it still shares that 64. So this has merit, folks. And then, you get into this element that's tied to the Nephilim. Is Lucifer and the fallen angels, are they the Nephilim? It kind of makes sense with the story, right? The story that we're told. And again, folks, I'll say it like I keep saying it. Man is being used, life is fixed, and this story that we've read was already here long before we got here. So of course it's going to have merit. Is it really true? Is this really true in our reality? Did this really happen? Is this really going on? And is Lucifer really the head of the Nephilim? Well, notice, this is the number we got, the 153.921, and when you add up both sides, the male-female, you're going to get the number 1074, which here is that 174 again, which is lutetium, Lucifer, Lucy. Right there by Manly P. Hall. Can't miss it. Can't mistake it. It's pretty common sense here what this means. Here's the scripture in the Old Testament, the only section of the entire Bible that talks about the character Lucifer getting thrown out of heaven, or fallen angel, right? Look at this. It's Isaiah 14 verses 12. Here's the 14th card in the tarot, which is the angel of balance. Got illumination behind its head, the holy mountain behind, a lot of symbolism, touching the water. A lot of symbolism here going on. And then the 12th. Isaiah 14:12. Look at this. You're falling from heaven, getting thrown out of heaven, the angel getting thrown out of heaven upside down. Here's the illumination again. But does this not represent that scripture? Can you see it perhaps fit into this narrative of this scripture in the Old Testament? I certainly can, so I put it in there. Here's the original rendition of it from the Hebrew, not the English. The Hebrew. I try to get as close to the source as possible. The original Hebrew spelling of this verse right here ends up becoming a 478 in the Hebrew. Bringing the string of pi into this again, look at the number that we get, folks. The 478 appears at the 1,407th decimal digit. There's that 147 again, right there, right there, right there. So folks, all these things have merit. They're all connected. Does this mean the story's true? It just means that the story is strong because of the connections that I'm showing you. There's no way to prove this stuff is really a story that is absolutely true. Notice the 71 now, because now we're going to switch gears and we're going to get into the 39 and get into the original spelling of Lucifer. The 71 in the string of pi appears at the 39th decimal digit right there. So now we're passing the baton off to the 39. Notice yttrium has an abbreviation of the letter Y. And what's the shape of a snake's tongue when it comes out of its mouth? Looks like a letter Y. What's the shape of the flux capacitor in the movie Back to the Future? The letter Y. How many miles an hour did Marty McFly have to get the DeLorean in Back to the Future using the flux capacitor? 88 miles an hour. Do you see how all these are tied together? I mean, there's no denying it at this point, folks. These are strong connections, giving us a clearer indication of what the truth just might be. So here it is, folks, the original translation in Hebrew/Aramaic of the character Lucifer. Lucifer, again, is a Latin translation. Did the Vatican purposely spell it out as Lucifer to match that of Jesus? To really suck the energy out of the Jesus character, because, it's all about numbers and energy and siphoning that energy. And when you know about numerology and how it works, these numbers collect energy. This is not even close. Lucifer is not even close to the original translation, which is right here. This is the original in the Old Testament. This is Isaiah 14 verses 12, the original. And folks, look at what it adds up to. 39, which is the element yttrium. It only has one atomic weight, which is 88. And there's the yin-yang, the 906. On the feminine side, again, there is the shape of the snake's tongue. So we have to, observe these things, because again, these are the original, not the, well, I'm gonna call it Lucifer. It's not even the same. This is HYLL. Where do you even get that from that? So you have to then start using your common sense and logic. Well, yeah, why did they change it to that? And well, it matches to Jesus, and there's a lot of different reasons why that was made to be. But nonetheless, man's being used, folks. So here's the original conversion of the English from the Hebrew, HYLL. Doesn't that look like, you can pronounce that hell, getting thrown, fallen out of heaven, hell. We're in hell, folks. This is where we're at. We're there now. The ascension process is tied to the 33 and the 74. But notice, hell is, through the English, 57. And 57 is tied to the 28th element, nickel. And Lucifer is 28. And there's that 12. Right there, I showed that card, Falling from heaven. Isaiah 14 verses 12. Hell. And of course, imagine being tied upside down for your entire life. But there's some symbology here with the legs, perhaps making the number 4. There's a great symbology in this card. But undeniable right here, folks. Crystal clear, obviously, what's going on. And we're gonna get to this when we get into the show from Netflix, Lucifer, because that one's gonna be jaw-dropping when I show you that. Now, Lucifer, when you use alchemology, that's what I've coined this. Again, it's taking numerology, getting the numbers from the letters, and then matching those with the elements of the periodic table. So Lucifer being remember too, Lucifer is a 7-letter word, and it's one word. There's the 71 again. So small, subtle things that some people don't pay attention to, but they have merit when you pay attention to them. And here are the 7 alchemical elements that represent the 3631852. So we add these up, going over to the trusty calculator, and we get the total of 58.047. There's the tetragrammaton right there, but 58 on the masculine side. Follow the connection. Here it is. Nickel has several weights. Here's one of them. Nickel at 58.693. There's the match. The 58, the 28, matching that of this one right here. I mean, they're both 57, 58, two different isotopes, as they call it in science, but still has 28 protons. Obviously, it's clear, folks, when you use this methodology. I know it works because it's accurate. I've done it. I've shown it over and over. If you want to do your name, your first name, your middle name, your last name, see what numbers you come up with. What elements are you tied to, folks? You can get gemstones that tie to your name, strengthen your whole vibrational frequency. A lot of things you can do, but nonetheless, clear what Lucifer is tied to. Nickel. And what about nickel? Well, you know, nickel's interesting because they call it devil's copper. You know, they found it in Germany, supposedly in the... I'm just going off history, folks. That's all I can go off of. I can't prove this. But, folks, it's clear. Look at this. They thought it contained copper, which is the 29th element, which is linked to Yaldabaoth, by the way, the Gnostic demiurge. But this is what they called it. Nickel, which means devil's copper. I mean, this guy's tied to nickel and it means devil's copper? Kind of interesting. So let's get into the show, folks. The Netflix show Lucifer. Oh boy, wait till I show you some of these, showing you absolutely that man's being used. There's no other way to describe what I'm going to show you here. Folks, look at the first episode of Lucifer was released on January 25th, 2016. The January 25th card in the Cards of Illumination is the Two of Diamonds. Do I have the Two of Diamonds, folks? And I showed that. It's the 28th card matching that of Lucifer. So you think the people in charge of delivering these shows out to the people of the world, do you think they purposely chose it to match this card because it matches this numerology? Even if they did, man is being used to carry out an agenda, folks. The word adversary equals the number 25, matching that of January 25th. And then we get into Lucifer's sigil, and you know, I've clearly pointed out the V here. And what does that V mean? I mean, that means the number 5. 5 is the only number that looks like a snake. And that's tied to the element vanadium. Vanadium has the abbreviation of the V. 23, folks, the word crown equals 23. The word blood equals 23. The word history equals 23. Go look in the string of pi where the 23 lands. So to me, it's clear. This is what the V means, the crown. Lucifer wants to be the crown. And then, you know, vanadium, the element itself equals the number 28, which is a direct match of Lucifer. So I already know, folks, whether you want to acknowledge this, whether you want to say that I'm speaking truth here. Again, these are just my opinions and truths, folks, but go ahead and try to prove me wrong on this. I'd love to see people try to prove what I'm showing wrong on this, especially with all the supporting evidence. I know this what this means. I know that's what this means. I mean, the V's right there. It's right there, and it's right there. It's obvious this is a standout, and that's what it's linked to. Now we get into the show itself. I mean, folks, this was the icing on the cake here to me to really show you how man's being used. This is the guy that they got to cast the character Lucifer. Thomas John Ellis. And I mean, folks, his name is a freaking 57, which I go right back here, and there it is. 57, nickel, Lucifer. Folks, man's being used, folks. There's no other way to try. Don't tell me stuff's rigged and, oh yeah, man's doing it. They know what they're doing and they're planning and this and that. Man ain't doing anything. Man is being used. Okay, some people may be doing some stuff consciously. That little voice in your head, that owns you. You don't own it. It owns you. Man is being used. Thomas John Ellis, when you do his alchemology, here's all his elements, all 15 of them. Notice he has 15 letters in his name. The word, the 15th card in the tarot is the devil card. Go to the trusty calculator, add all up his elements. You're going to get the number 121.154. 121 is tied to the element antimony. The average weight of antimony is 121. It's the 51st element. It's the all-seeing eye of Horus. I showed this in the beginning of the presentation. And here it is. Antimony is a direct numerology link to Lucifer. The all-seeing eye. Look at his last name, folks. He didn't choose that last name. His parents inherited the last name Ellis. And who knows how far back the lineage goes, even your last name. You didn't choose it. Your parents didn't choose it. It chose you. And it's a number 15. That's the devil card, folks. His full name is 15 letters, devil card. His last name, 15, devil card. And then when you do his alchemology of Ellis just by itself, it becomes the number 33, which is arsenic, which is Lucifer. I mean, folks, how else are you to describe what I'm showing you here? How do you wrap your mind around this? I mean, folks, this was off of Wikipedia. This blew me away. Seriously. That's how we're going to get into Thomas, because his first name is Thomas. We're going to get into that. Look at this, folks. How do you explain this? Unless this is completely fabricated, how do you explain it any other way? Look at this. Ellis was born in Cardiff, the son of Marilyn Jean and Christopher John Ellis, twin brother to Lucy Hawkins. Or obviously her last name was Ellis, but she married a guy with the last name Hawkins. His twin sister is Lucy. Lucy in the sky with diamonds. How else are you supposed to describe this? Please, if you have other pieces that you can show me on what this, try to interpret this any other way, I'm all ears, folks. I'm all ears. Trying to break it down another way. I mean, here's, I've been showing this over and over. Here's a episode where he's in an auction. Look at the number he throws up. 69. I mean, you can spell out his name using the alchemical elements. It's very rare you can do that. You can't spell out Jesus with that, but you can spell out Lucifer. Here it is, man. He's at an auction. Why the number 69? Because that's Cancer. Cancer is the 69. And listen, what is cancer? It's a very deadly disease. Kills people. Cancer. So, folks, this is where the twin comes into play. I posted this on Facebook, folks. St. Thomas, was listed as Jesus' twin brother. Now, I just showed you right here. This guy in real life supposedly has a twin sister named Lucy. And then we get Thomas. Why am I showing Thomas? Because Thomas is the 69 in the Greek, which is a mirror of the 96 in Jesus. I mean, 69's right there. Thomas. And I want you to keep in mind that Thomas is Thomas John Ellis, the guy who's playing the character Lucifer. Thomas. Thomas was Jesus' twin brother, one of the apostles at the Last Supper. I mean, look at this. I showed this Nephilim, the fallen angels. equal through the original spelling is 76. Thomas is 76. Is Thomas Lucifer? Thomas is 24. And that's tied to the element chromium. Why am I showing this? The name is derived from the Greek word chroma, it means color. The light spectrum. Chromacolor. Chromium. Lutetium is the 71. 7 is violet, 1 is red. These are the 7 colors of the rainbow, folks. If Lucifer is the light bringer, well, light includes the light spectrum. Make no mistake about it. Folks, look at this. This is from the book, The Gnostic Gospels. Thomas means the twin. Thomas, also called Didymus, the twin. And this brings me to this element right here. Because the 59th element, praseodymium, is derived from the Greek word meaning green twin. Which is why they use this symbol. This is off the Royal Society of Chemistry. Gemini. Gemini. It's really interesting. You know, keep in mind, folks, Gemini, even though it's the twins, it's the 3rd zodiac sign after Taurus. 3. Could it be Thomas, Jesus, and Lucifer? Could that be it? And what's really interesting about this, the green twin, look at the color they chose off the Royal Society of Chemistry. You know, remember who created Earth? If you do the numerology, that equals the number 59. But look at the color. Green twin. And the reason why they're showing this color, folks, is because of the light spectrum. When we absorb light, when it comes in to our eyes, the primary color right there in the dead center is going to be like a lime green. It's going to be kind of like this color right here. If you saw my video on the Vesica Piscis, I showed the tennis ball. Because that's primarily the color that our eyes will see first, according to science. And it's linked to this element right here. And we know Lucifer's the light bringer. Jesus said, I am the light of the world. Folks, are they the same character? Or are they brothers feeding off of one another? So that's all I got, folks. I mean, what is it that you saw during this presentation? That was my last slide. I could have shown a heck of a lot more, but I mean, folks, this is to me is just strong supporting evidence of possibly showing Thomas being Lucifer. I mean, look at this, the mirror of that. Thomas is 69, Jesus is 96. I mean, there it is, folks. This guy, I mean, how do you wrap your mind around this? This guy, 57, his real birth name. And I didn't even show, like, Lux, the club he owns in the show. That's a 14, that's tied to silicon. If you know what silicon is, the serpent silicon has an atomic weight of 28. 28's Lucifer. That's his club, Lux, meaning light. I mean, look at this, folks. Look at these tie-ins here. To me, it's completely undeniable when you're seeing this, and you know that these are strong supporting pieces. So, I'm going to leave it right here, folks. The original spelling of Lucifer, translated as hell, 39, the 88. I mean, folks, remember, Skull and Bones is 39, Microsoft is 39. It's a very big number, and if you know the number 3 and 9 in numerology, you'll have a further indication of what it really, really means when you know what the 3 and the 9 means. So that's all I got for today. My name's Logan. This is Decode Your Reality. Thank you so very much for watching.